Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Brick Rigs, and as you might be able to tell by the music, I will be showing some Mario Kart stuff. Not just any stuff about Mario Kart, this is stuff that I made. So yes, I will start off by showing this thing. It is everyone's favourite Mario Kart kart, the B-Dasher. I built this off of the 1930s race car chassis. It took me a while because I kept on leaving it, coming back to it, thinking of a new idea, applying it, finding another problem, not able to fix it, couldn't be bothered, left it, came back to it, etc, etc. And so this life continued. So yes, this is the first thing that I made based on Mario Kart. I tried to base it on the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version of the B-Dasher, the most recent version so far. So it's got the grille up front. Wanted it in a shroud, but the shroud was far too difficult to do with the limited things that I had to build with. But these things here, how I made the chassis is how I made the fuselage is that I used the 1x2 rounded slope bits. So so it's got the red band on it, it's got Mario's M on there, it's got the big standard yellow wheels, it's got the red axles, it's got the sort of silver things going to the wheels, it's got the nice blue seat and the steering wheel which turns with you. So yeah, those are all just held under there. So yeah, there you can see that I did build it off of the old race car chassis. Then we come back to the engine. For some reason the engine's got this zigzag pattern on the top, so I had to recreate that. You've got the exhaust pipes with the light grey band in the middle of each of them. Two of them high, two of them low, as it is. It's got the grille at the back, it's got these dot things there, whatever those are meant to be, and also these those grill bits there as well. And so yeah, I just based it off of my original chassis, and I based it off of pictures because, as with all these, I couldn't be bothered to boot up the relevant games, either because I didn't have them or I couldn't be bothered. And yes, so I've fitted it with a limited V8 engine, so you can race it along with all of the 1930s cars, and that is the same with all of these Mario Kart creations. They're all on the workshop, and you can drive them along with the old race cars as well. Have a Mario Kart versus old car race. So yes, there you go. So it drives perfectly well, as well as can be expected. Yeah, it's got the nice exhaust on the back, and yeah, it's just a nice Mario Kart creation there that I have made. So there's that thing. The next thing that I made after this was, because I went on a Mario Kart spree, the next thing that I made was something from Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS, which is what I have as well. I also have this version of Mario Kart, and it's the Blue 7. Blue 7 is, of course, I always think of it as a Luigi car, because it looks a lot like the Sprinter from Mario Kart DS. And I think it's probably the spiritual successor to that car, or that kart. So here is the Blue 7, just again using standard yellow wheels. It's got the white stripe down the centre, it's got the headlights on the front which do actually light up, it's got the short little windscreen, it's got ways of getting in and out with the sloped bits, steering wheel again which controls with you, you've got the black seat as it is in-game from the pictures I can see. Then it's got the engine at the back. This is just a fake engine bit. It's got the dots on top. And then what I like is how I've got the exhaust. The exhausts I think look great. My game froze. So yes, the exhausts I think look pretty great going underneath the spoiler. It's got two lights at the back, which is what the actual in-game kart has as well, as along with 4 lights at the back. Don't know what they are meant to be, so I've just got glow bricks there. As for, I'm very pleased with how the spoiler actually turned out as well, because I've got the 2 struts which keep the spoiler up, and then these are all made with 3x1 cheese slope pieces, I think that's the technical name from what I know. So yeah, they're on there. It's got the black stripe down the middle, as it is in the game as well, held on by a piece of chrome 2x6 plate, And then how I've got the 7, because the 7 is on a circle actually on the spoiler itself. So what I've done is I've got an actuator piece which I've kept as static. The bottom piece is clear. It is just simply it's just glass, and then the actual thing has been manually angled, and the 7 has been put on up there as well with just a with what is it? With a glass plate on there. Yeah, basic there, but there you go. So there you go. And so that's on there as a nice spoiler. As you can see, steering wheel turns with you, which is very nice. Springs back to its original position. So yeah, spoiler of course is on there. As you can see, it drives perfectly well. Again, with this, limited V8 engine is just sort of sitting in there, which means that you can drive it along with the 1930s cars. You can also roll it apparently. If you wanted to have a real Mario Kart experience, you could do Control and G and put it into invincibility, so that if you do roll it, it doesn't matter. But I will show you in the night time as it happens. Those things light up, but you can also get this as well. The lights also go on as well. Those things stay low, and yeah, it's got working lights. Not that they actually help much, but hey, at least you got them. Oh, okay, didn't want to exit the cart. Oh, let's just set that back to that. There you go. So yes, the Blue 7. I think of it as a spiritual successor to the Sprinter from Mario Kart DS, and I always think of it as a Luigi kart. But yeah, because I don't think it doesn't. I don't think it has a character emblem on it, so I've just left them all off. It's just got the Blue 7 up top. Well, black 7, but you get the idea. So there's that. And here we go, going cross country. Handbrake. We overshot. No. So yes, that was the Blue 7. For some reason, I've fallen through the map is also something that's happened. So there's that. But yes, the next one I actually recorded, and you'll find it on the channel how I made this. And this is the Mark 8 from Mario Kart, well, 8. And I put this with a Luigi badge on it. But yeah, so the way I made this, it was pretty tricky. I thought it would be easy, but it turned out to be actually a bit of an engineering nightmare. I used the custom bricks, as in the unrestricted bricks, as it were, to make the fuselage. It's a 3x3 cylinder, just piece on there. It's got a black cylinder on the front, and because it's chrome on the outside, what I did is I couldn't quite figure it out until I stumbled upon the idea of using grill pieces to make the chrome highlights, but also keep the black inside. It doesn't work quite as I want it because it does glitch around a lot, as you can see, but it works good enough. And it's got the nose cone on top, or the nose cap. It's got the correct colours, so it's in blue and yellow. It's got Luigi's little emblem on the back of the little fin there. The whole thing is pretty streamlined and sleek, like it should be. It's got Luigi's emblem on the top as well with the yellow stripe. It has sort of like very tinted black windscreen, which I ended up using rounded pieces for, which is what's on there. I've got some rounded pieces on the front and side as well. It's got the lowered piece so that you can get in. It's got the red seat, very much like a rocket or a rocket ship. It's got the steering wheel in the middle. The seat is actually a double moulded thing in game, which is what those black bits are on the back, because it has sort of like this headrest sort of thing on the back. So there's that. It's got some nice rounding on it as well to keep the rounded theme going through the back. Thins up, sort of, towards the rocket at the back, and the rocket actually fires. Also, I've put wooden wheels on because those are one of the wheel choices you can get in Mario Kart 8, so I thought, hey, why not? Looks interesting. So there we go. As you can see, you're pretty cramped in here, but hey, there you go. So, yes, the rocket actually fires, but it does have just a standard engine on it as well if you want to race it normally, legitly. And hey, we're going everywhere. So yeah, that is the Mark 8. Yeah, goes around the same 123 as per everything else. just to keep it consistent. So yeah, stuff like that. So as you can see, if you want to give yourself a burst of speed, you can give yourself the rocket boost. But yeah, very pleased with how this turned out. Looks pretty decent. Looks like a Mark 8. You can drive it like a Mark 8 and it'll crash like a Mark 8 as we spin endlessly through the air. But yeah, so there's that thing. And then at the time I didn't make this next one, but it's just a modification, as it were, of the Mark 8. And that's because as I was looking at pictures of this thing online, I discovered this. And what this is, well, there was a lot of these pictures actually, just of the same one, but this is the anti-gravity feature. There's an anti-gravity feature in Mario Kart 8, if you didn't know, where it just sticks to, you just stick to the ground like anti-gravity. They keep changing the face, it's weird. But yes, anti-gravity, the wheels sort of tilt at a 45-degree angle, the front lights up in neon, the wheels light up in neon, and you can just go up the walls and things. This shouldn't work, but because of how Brickwigs works, it kinda does. You're in anti-gravity because you're off the ground, you're levitating, which is fun. However, the only problem is it doesn't auto... That happens, but it also doesn't automatically change gear for you. You have to do it manually. Also, the wheels want to come off because they're not meant to be at this angle, but yeah. Because it's such a weird thing, you have to manually change gear. It'll get back up to its normal top speed of 123. It'll just mean that you'll have to manually judge the timing of when to change gear. But yeah, so there's that. Also, the rocket boost still works, so you can always advance yourself with that. But if I change this to nighttime again, as you can see, yeah, it lights up neon, which is fun, because this is how it is in game. But anyway, so that's just a little thing that I made. Yeah, so there's that. Then the next thing that I made was a kart that everyone will know as part of their career in Mario Kart, and that is just the standard default kart. This is the Mario Kart 8 version of the kart. It's nothing particularly spectacular in-game, but I'm very pleased with how this model turned out. It's very short, very sweet, little old kart. I'm very pleased with how this turned out. It's got the sloping front area, it's got the front bumper sort of thing. It's in Mario's colour, so it's got the red, and then it's got the black, white, and blue as the theme colour all round, which is all very nice. Steering wheel, steering column, all that good stuff. Black steering wheel, which is very nice. I need to change the engine, but we'll get onto that in a moment. The little wheels, just standard yellow wheels because it's the most iconic, I suppose. Yeah, as for the engine, I didn't know how it looked, and with all these I couldn't be bothered to boot up the game, but hey ho. So that's just, yeah, there like that. It shouldn't be like that, I know that now, but yeah, so there's that. So I just sort of modelled the rear myself, and then it's got these exhausts just here with the yellow tips. And the yellow tips are actually sort of outside of the exhaust, which is all very nice. So yeah, there's that. Just cone pieces going into the back of the engine. And yeah, this is it. Nothing. The steering doesn't work. Oh no, it does work. Sorry, my mistake. But yeah, so there's that. Yeah, nothing too crazy. It's just a standard kart. It uses the car engine, and in a very nice twist, I don't actually have to modify this car engine. It goes at about 120 at its top speed, so you can catch up to everyone. It'll just take you a little longer because it's the kart engine, car engine rather. But hey ho. So yes, just standard car, nothing too spectacular. The next thing that I made is a rarer kart. I now have this thing actually. It's the gold standard. Yeah, nothing changed with this either, apart from the fact that it's gold, which means that it sags because gold is very heavy. But yeah, it's all in gold basically. In Mario Kart 8, and I know this now because I have this kart, and I just use it constantly now. But as with this, it has the default 8 symbol. It's one of the only karts which doesn't actually change depending on who the driver is. Normally it will change the emblem at least. But yeah, so it's got the gold wheels, just to keep with the gold theme. Just gold everything. Yeah, it's the gold standard. I have this kart and very happy that I do, because now I can run it with cyber slicks and I can go really fast. Unfortunately, because of the gold, it takes a while to get up to its top speed. Luckily, it just about changes gear itself, so you can leave this thing in automatic and it'll... Interesting, it seems to spaz out like that, but yeah, so you can leave this thing in automatic and it will change gear. You don't have to manually change gear. If I just put my HUD back on again, if you look, we're at first gear now. As we accelerate, we're still at first gear, 23, and we've changed to second, 40, and we've changed to third, 45, yeah, there you go, so we changed to third. So, it just about changes gear itself, but of course, under race conditions, you'll probably be changing it yourself in order to get that burst of speed on someone. But yeah, so this is just the gold standard kart. It sags a lot, which makes it for a bit of a bumpy ride. Perhaps not the best choice of kart in brick rigs, but hey, there you go. So yes, the gold standard. Very nice kart. As for the next thing that I made, I went back in time and I went to Mario Kart DS. The first Mario Kart I owned was Mario Kart DS, and I still play it. Because it's just a fact good. So this is one of Yoshi's, or Yoshi's, depending on how you pronounce his name. This is one of his karts. I quite like this music, or this track. So yeah, this is just his kart, one of his karts that he can get. It's the Cucumber. It's based off of an old style racer, not quite proper because this thing should be, the exhaust should be going up at an angle, but it isn't due to restrictions on how this thing actually sits like this. But this will do. Looks decent enough. So yeah, this thing, it's sort of like an old style race car. It looks pretty much like this with the it meant that I could actually leave the base chassis of the 1930s race car pretty much alone. I just sort of built on top of it because I can leave these struts here, everything. It's got silver air intake, not quite correct air intake, but hey, this will do. Mounted on just a actuator. It looks very blocky and chunky, and I suppose you can say that fits with the retro theme because these things were made up of about 8 polygons, which meant that I was looking at very low polygon models for these final karts that I'm going to show you. But yeah, so it's got the steering wheel, it's got the brown seat, which is all very nice. It's got this little wind brake thing because it didn't actually have a windscreen. It's got his egg logo as best I could there. The rear just sort of tapers off to a flat back, so that's what that is. All the wheels were the same, so all the wheels were in this standard yellow. Weren't any customization karts, they were just the karts themselves, which was all very fun. But it did have 2 exhausts like this, so yeah, very nice. You could probably pass it as a standard 1930s race car, but yeah. You have to remember I'm working with very low polygon models for these karts, because these are all going to be DS karts, so you just got to remember that. But yeah, so this is just one of... I actually now play as the little Velociraptor all the time now in Mario Kart DS, and I use this kart just because it's a fun kart. It's a decent combination. It has the best chance of getting usable items. So yeah, this is just his race car, the Cucumber it's known as, so, well, that is its name. So yeah, there's that. The next one, I went and I had a look at Waluigi. Everyone was upset that he was missing from Mario Kart 7, even though his track was in there, Waluigi Pinball. So I made one of his DS karts. This is called the Gold Mantis. It's based on a construction piece of equipment. I was bored when I was making this, so I started it and I didn't stop until I'd finished the kart. Normally I would sort of build some, leave it, go do something else, because I just can't be bothered to sit, and I just don't have the time to just sit and continuously do it until it's finished. But this one I did. The thing you've got to remember is that these these 6 wheels meant to be tracks. This is meant to be a tracked thing. So these are designed to look like tracks in game, but this is the best you can do. Also, only the front ones steer for some reason. I don't know why they decided to do that for this kart. Actually, in the game, only the front ones steer. No idea why it has such terrible handling, and I never actually use this kart because it has terrible handling. I like my karts to have handling. But yeah, it was a pretty slopey design. It had this one orange stripe, this one black stripe sort of going around half of it where Waluigi sits. It's got his upside down back to front L in purple just on the front there, which is all very nice. It's got a grey steering wheel, black seat. The whole thing's in the yellow of the Gold Mantis, hence why it's called the Gold Mantis. It had this crane arm, and I'm very pleased with the crane arm. But the crane arm is just sort of sitting in this sort of like this black void in game, so that's what this black tile is. It's got some sloping here. It wasn't a complete slope because it had this railing on it for some reason, again to do with the construction design. It's got his logo there again. Sierra just had this railing for some reason, no idea why, probably how you meant to get into the thing. You just sort of hop over the railing, grab onto it, plug yourself over. But yes, I'm very pleased with how this arm turned out, because what I did is I used various actuators, all of these same actuators, and so I just made that. It had the thick actuator for the final arm, which is what this thing is, and I'm very pleased with how the whole arm turned out. The bucket could be better, but hey, it's a bucket at least. You get the idea for it. And because this thing was so back heavy, it kept on rising up, so I just weighed down the front with about 15 2x2 plates of tungsten, which meant that the front is now very well put down on the front. Also, the rear has had to be weighed down with some tungsten because I put so much on the front. Yeah, that happened. So, yeah, this is the Gold Mantis, one of Waluigi's karts. Yeah. As you can see, it's a very weird thing to drive, but hey, you got the bucket at the front. You can actually steer because I weighed down the front, which is all very good. Uses what car? V8, I think, limited V8 in it. I can't zoom in any further than that. But hey, there you go. So it's got the steering wheel here. You sit at a decent enough height. You can see out front. It's all a bit weird, but I'm very pleased with how this thing turned out. And so yeah, that's one of his karts. Second kart. They call it a bike, or they call it. I think they call it a cart, but it's not. It's a trike. It's one of Waluigi's things again, but it's again from DS. It's his other unique cart, other than his, because you get 2 unique carts in the standard. This is his second unique cart. This is the Zipper. It's technically a trike. They call it like a cart, but it's actually a trike. So as you can see, one trike steering at the front. It's got the bars for the suspension. It's got his logo at the front. It had a massive seat for some reason in brown. It's got the brown steering wheel. Yeah, it didn't have any sort of visor or anything. It's got these things here. Don't know what these things were. They were sort of bars sticking out the side. Again, not too sure why. They help with keeping this thing stable though in this game at least, so I'm very happy with that. I've just sort of rounded off the top with just plates again with it had 2 large rear wheels and the small one for the front, but the rear, it was just pretty much a tapered off rear, but in order to make the whole thing actually work, I had to make this thing slightly elongated, which isn't quite how it should be, but oh well. So yeah, it just had these 2 it had these 2 long exhausts coming out the back, and yeah, it's technically a trike, and so I made it into a trike steering. As you can see, only the front wheel steers. It's a legit trike. Yeah, it's a decent enough kart. It's got these grille pieces at the front. It's not particularly stable. It can go up to 123 miles an hour with, I think it's a limited V8 in there again. Yeah, limited V8. I'm lagging for some reason. Stop lagging. Can you stop lagging? But yeah, so this is his trike. It's just a trike. It drives interestingly. But yeah, as for the final kart that I've made so far, ow, I just hit my elbow on my chair. Ow. But yes, for the final thing, I decided to make another one of Luigi's karts from Mario Kart DS. Again, just remember all of these DS things are in low polygon models with about 10 polygons, so not much to work with, but Basically, the Poltergust 4000 is one of Luigi's unique karts, and it's based off of the Poltergust 3000 from Luigi's Mansion. It's just a big ride-on version. So it was a pretty stumpy little thing, with standard yellow wheels, as were all of them. And so it had this carry handle, it had his logo on either side of that. It had a very weird engine, I kid you not, this is how the engine looked. It was a very thin thing, it had like 5 black dots on it, which I've recreated here with some of these redirectors, but I just have no idea what they were thinking with this, but it uses the car engine in there. It had purple exhausts for some reason, exhaust tips. Again, no idea why, but those are just made with cones, and they just sort of stick out the back. Here's the actual Poltergust bit out the front. So there's, of course, the head, using a scalable triangle, just mounted on some redirectors. Here's the actual hose for the suck, as it were, and that just leads into the cart. Very stumpy thing. Unfortunately, I've had to make the tip out of tungsten, and even then it still breaks off. That's because, well, the head should be on the ground like an actual cleaner, but it doesn't because of brick rigs, because it was just far difficult to do. It's actually held up. All of these sections of tube are actually just held up with clear actuators, just set to static. So yeah, here's this thing. Again, goes at around the same speed as 1930s race car, and yeah, it drives decently enough. I mean, nothing wrong with it. It's pretty stable. As you can see, it's probably the most stable kart out of all of these. Can even do some mini turbo boosts. But yeah, so it's just the Poltergust. Yeah, nothing much more you can say about that. The front end still wants to break off, even though it's the tungsten, the most durable material actually in brick rig so far. But oh well, you can't have everything. At least I added it on there. So yes, that is the Poltergust and the final karts that I have made. And I'll thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. You can find them all on the Steam Workshop, and goodbye.